Hey guys, it's Gus, and today I'm going to bring you a short commentary on a recent patch note. Warning, it's kind of long-winded, uh, but this has to be said because nobody else is saying it. So, the recent patch note, I believe it was last week from PC. One of the notes is the new gear for episode 2, which had started dropping early, now has the correct stats, names, and icons. What we're talking about are these companion gears right here. And they drop from the Shatter Diamonds you get when you farm the heroic counters in the new Sharandar world map. And they said they started dropping early. Okay, well, how's anybody supposed to know that? Because they weren't in the patch notes? Well, there's a lot of stuff that isn't in the patch notes, right? Guild marks, we could only have 30,000 for years. And then silently, we could go up to 50k. I don't think that was in a patch note. Maybe it was. But anyways, that's besides the point. The major word in here is they're being fixed, which implies they're broken. And if you notice, all three of these companion gears, you notice something that stands out. They have 11,700 of a single stat. And that sounds sexy as hell. But they're not broken. They're giving the exact amount of stats that they're supposed to. Instead, so you're getting one stat, a ton of. But look at the combined rating, how low that is. And there's a curse because of that. Look at these sexy stats right here, right? Not the total, but the rating. And those are all really high. That's unachievable with a high item level build, I think. But here's the downside. Here's the curse. The defense and awareness. This build is the glassiest of glass cannons. I don't even know if it's possible to have this low defense and awareness without these gears. That's how low this is. This gets one-shotted by everything. Can be one-shot this build. As long as you have, that's fine if you're totally willing to use life scrolls like crazy and healthstones like crazy. I use almost an entire healthstone every single boss. But that's okay. That's my playstyle. And it doesn't hurt the team. But I like being able to disintegrate shit at the same time. But it does come with a big risk. So they're not broken. They're just behaving differently than previous companion gears. And we know from the combat rework that they promised us that we'd be able to make a variety of builds. Well, that is completely false and so far from the truth. Before the combat rework, you could run a summoned or an augment companion, whatever you wanted. You saw everybody doing something different. They were both great. Now, you don't see anybody running augment. Why? Because you're hurting the team and you're hurting yourself. I don't know of any examples where an augment is better suited than a summoned companion. Maybe in some weird situation. But generally, everybody's running summoned companions now. And all the DPS are all running the exact same gear, all of them. Or if they're not, it's because they're still working on getting it. But they're all it's very bottlenecked. Every build is exactly the same right now. So they promised that wouldn't happen. So, oh wow, they introduced these new gears that give us the opportunity to build a new type of build. They promised this would happen. That was one of their stated goals. Oh, they're broken. They have to fix them. Nobody knew that. We could assume that because they behave differently than previous gears. But they were not broken. They just behave differently. Like I think I got one just a second ago in Drowned Shores, right? It's this ring right here. Look at that. It gives me 7,246 offensive stats, but only 322 combined rating. So you're losing out by using this. These rings are all over the place. So the precedent was set that if these aren't broken, then the companion gears aren't broken. People could assume they were, but unless you had direct contact with them, and they specifically told you, then there's no way you knew they were broken. You could assume. So or you could look at the glass half full in an optimistic way and say, well, we could assume that they're going to follow through with their promise and give us more opportunities to make different builds. Well, they didn't. So what's the big deal about this? the big deal is the small population within the shrinking community spent tens of billions on these. Tens of billions. That is an understatement. They spent so much on these, it was ridiculous. I know people that have 20 stacks of Fey Blessings. And just so you know, one Fey Blessing you get from 100 Shatter Diamonds. And, you know, before this patch, they were 400 to 500,000 a stack. So people, 10 million just to get one stack. They spent upwards of 200 million to get these gears. And I know this. I've seen them do this. I've been on share play while they were doing it just to show how ridiculous the drop rate is on these. Because for me it was about 1 in 20. But you might get 3 of the same gears that you don't need. So you can't... and if you don't have the best RNG, you're going to just keep spending diamonds. And they did. And people are pissed. I'm not. Well, a little bit, but people are. Let me read these. So a Redditor said when this patch note came out, okay, so players who spent millions of AD buying out stacks of diamond shards to get the gear just got wrecked then. Okay, thank you. Makes my decision easier now then. Good luck with the game, people. I'm out. Alright, I'm assuming he or she is quitting. Rightfully so. And then another player said on Facebook, I don't... They have completely different names. Could have been the same player. Maybe. I doubt it. I had everything perfect. The new companion equipment with 11,700 stats helped a lot. Then in today's PC patch, I hear they nerfed these down to 1,000 stats each. I had spent 40 million AD buying stacks of shards to get those. I decided about an hour ago, I'm done with the game. Liquidating everything I have starting today. Wow, a very satisfied customer. Another one. So the small number of people spent a vast fortune on these companion gears. Tens of billions were sunk out of the economy because of this fixed. So if you're a reputable enterprise, if you release a faulty product, you don't fix it by telling people to buy a new product. You do something about it. A fix to a problem is not just changing a stat. A fix to the problem would be doing something to those players who spent tens of billions on these. An exchange, I don't know, a refund, whatever. That's not my job to figure out. Leave them alone? Are they really broken? They're absolutely not broken. These hurt you. I don't recommend these for anybody. Unless you have a lot of diamonds, because you're going to waste a shitload of diamonds running these. Not getting them, running them. These really hurt you. And because offense is not everything. Which this build, if you wear these, you will see immediately. So they're not broken. They don't have to fix them. They can leave them alone. But there's one course of action that could have been taken. The one that completely screwed people over. The one that would make people quit the game. A purposeful decision meant to screw people over. And that was the only course of action that they said they're going to take. If we're assuming that this patch note follows through when it comes on PC, when Sharon Dard 2 comes. Oh, yeah, you can still get these gears on PlayStation. They're still here. They are letting people are buying these, getting these gears. They have no idea unless they read the patch notes or somebody tells them that this product is faulty, that it will be nerfed. They have not put any warning. They haven't halted the sales for them. Nothing. They're hoping that somebody read the patch notes. And when I read Zone and Alliance chat, I know that most people don't read the patch notes. A lot of people just play the game to have fun. It's not something they invest all their time on reading up on. That's not most players. That's some players. So here we have this. You can still get these. The game is doing nothing to stop you from getting them. They are selling a defective product still, and they're not doing anything to anybody who bought the defective product, and they're losing players because of it. How is this acceptable? Who would say this is fine? And I'm going to say this. There are many toxic players in the community. They say stuff like, oh, Well, you should have known that they were going to be nerfed. You should have known. How should you have known? What, by looking at the rings that all behaved in the exact same manner that have been out for months? By believing their promise that they would give us a variety of builds? What? How should we have known? Because they behave differently? No. They say, oh, if you had all the diamonds to waste, that's your fault. What the fuck? Hey, it's Craptic. You should have known better. No. These are all blame the victim mentality. They're the victim. The person who caused this is not the players. It's the game. The people who run this game who made a decision to suck billions of diamonds out of the game at the cost of the few people who invested in these. Wow, what a dick move. I'm not complaining. This is expected. I'm putting this out so people know, because people are still buying them. They're making builds around these. These are pure. They're going to be okay. You're going to get some extra item level for them, but they're not groundbreaking. They're not worth spending 100 million diamonds on, which people have done. That player that I read that post about 40 million, that was chump change compared to what some players are spending on these. This is how. Who releases a product and completely obliterates it a week later and doesn't do something about it? Say, oh, sorry. Well, businesses that are going out of business do. Because what are you going to do? You can't sue them because they're not going to exist. This is a company that's trying to survive, and here they are making decisions. Our community is not getting any bigger. I think we're losing players faster than we're getting them. And this, it's not, well, the content, oh, I love this game. A lot of other people do too. This game has so much potential. And then here they go, making a decision to get people to quit. Not because of bad content, not because of repetition. They actually made a decision to drive people away. A purposeful decision. A deceiving decision. People spent real life money to get those diamonds. Guaranteed. So warning everybody, if you're still getting these, there's no warning in the game when you get the diamond said, warning, these will be nerfed in a week. These will be obliterated. It's not worth your time or effort. Don't buy them. They didn't put out any warning. Unless you were lucky enough to reach the patch note that was very suspiciously placed near the very bottom, right? If you could even make it all the way down there. This was deceptive. It was hurtful. And players are pissed. And there's no reason for it. This does not have to be done. This isn't. This is not their only course of action. This is the worst, unexcusable course of action possible. What's going on right now? It's really a shame because this is such a beautiful game. There's a lot of work into it, and there's so much you can do. And we're driving people away by doing this. And it doesn't help when we got community members saying, "Well, that's your fault. You should have known better." What the fuck? Who says that nowadays? If you had the diamonds to spend, then you deserve it. No, these are literally what people say. Yeah, I'm glad they're nerfing them because now I don't have to go through the trouble of getting them. Well, what about the people who did go through the trouble of getting them? Well, sucks to be them, right? Well, no, that is very, to me it sounds extremely toxic when you wish the worst on other people so you get an advantage. But, anywho, buyer beware yet again. Hope you enjoy. See you soon. Stay classy, Neverwinter.